And this is how we judge whether to enter a pool and also when we should exit. So number one, as Colin was saying, do we want to hold the assets in the pool? Are we comfortable holding them long term? And the example that Colin was giving was with mobile, where the yields were excellent and it ticked all of the other boxes in this system, but Colin didn't want to hold mobile long term. So instead, he was converting his fees in mobile to another asset. I believe it was Sol in his case. And that's perfectly okay because he had a clear system, a clear strategy before entering the position. Colin knew, hey, I'm getting into mobile Sol because I want to earn 4% per day or 6% per day. I want to earn those fees for a specific amount of time, and my exit strategy is in place before I even enter. So let's take a look at these criteria first. Assets, number one. Ask yourself these questions. Would I want to hold each of these assets long-term? Yes or no? Would I be okay with getting fully converted into each of these assets? Yes or no? Is there any utility for the token or asset that I'm looking to hold in this pool? And a great place to go if you're looking for more information on the specific asset that you're looking at, you can hop into the 100K Portfolio Challenge, and there is a great write-up in there of dozens of different assets. The next question we're going to ask ourselves is, does the asset have a strong foundation? So do I want to hold it? Am I okay being converted fully into it? Does it have any utility, and does it have a strong foundation? Those are the first questions to ask yourself. Now, here's an example of something that we would probably shy away from. So Analos. Analos is a meme coin. It's literally Solana spelled backwards. Okay, so there's no utility here. The market cap for Analos is less than our minimum target of 250 million. This is not a hard and fast rule. This is just a general guideline. This is so that you can take our system here, our 7 criteria, and you can mold it to fit your own risk tolerance levels. Also, how old is the asset? Does it have a strong foundation? Well, in the case of Analos, at the time of writing this article, it was only 6 days old. So it had no track record of success. So because Analos did not meet our criteria up here in question number 1 about the assets in the pool, that would mean that we would shy away from entering a pool that contains Analos as one of the assets. That's not to say that you couldn't enter this pool. It's just that if you were going to enter this pool, you need to have a clear exit in mind. When are you going to exit? So keep this in mind before you enter and help use these guidelines to help you determine when to exit. So here's an example of a pool where both of the assets are blue chips. They both have high levels of utility. Their market caps are greater than 250 million, and they have a long track record of success, several years of data. So Link Wrapped ETH has all of those boxes ticked for the first questions in our first criteria. The second criteria is total value locked. And what we're looking to do here is not say, hey, a pool must have at least 250K of TVL in order to be an interesting opportunity. That's not what we're looking to say. What we want to say instead is, this is a general minimum threshold that we're looking for. We'd like to see, at least 250K, but it depends on the individual investor. Some investors' minimum threshold for a pool is going to be 1 million. So this is something that you can establish for yourself. But we're definitely looking at TVL as one of the criteria for whether we're going to enter or not. And 250K tends to be a minimum for us. But we're not just looking at whether we want to hold the assets and what the TVL is. We're also looking at the correlation of these assets. And in the example above of Link and ETH, they are extremely positively correlated. So as a rule of thumb here, we're looking for a positive 0.5 correlation coefficient on either the 7-day or the 30-day time frame. But the closer to a positive 1.0, the better. We're looking for a tight positive correlation so that we can stay in range for longer, or at least have a better chance of staying in range for a longer period of time. The fourth criteria we're looking at is trend. And for me, when I was in Mobile Sol, I was in it because not just the yields were elevated, but also when I entered, the trend looked like this, a clear uptrend. But I exited Mobile Sol because that trend changed. The trend started to move to the downside. And it is extremely difficult, if not impossible, to make money providing concentrated liquidity when the trend is to the downside. We need to see the trend either in a clear sideways range, like we have here in Render Sol, or a clear uptrend, like we see here a couple of weeks ago in Link Wrapped ETH. So the trend is extremely important. And the way that we can analyze the trend is by going to Dex Screener, typing in the two assets in the pool, bringing up the chart, and then pricing it in the quote asset. So I can do that for you right here, just real quick.
Make sure you guys take the TA course, because David did a really good job putting a TA course together. And I was just looking around yesterday on who has actually completed it. And, well, we'll just leave that out of the conversation.
So, yeah, it doesn't take that long. Spend a couple of hours going through the TA course, and then you will be able to do this work yourself without any help. And then you can post about it in the TA arena and get, responses from the 500 plus members in the UIG.
There's so much support when it comes to the TA, because I'll see someone be like, hey, here's my TA screenshot. And then others chime in with what they see. Such a beautiful learning opportunity. I literally learned stuff from it too. So you guys, this is when I entered Mobile Sol. So when I saw this clear move to the upside, this is a very clear trend. This is when I entered. And as this trend changed, and now to me, this trend looks to be at risk of breaking down further. This trend change from an uptrend to maybe we're looking like it's going to move to the downside a little bit further, that set off alarm bells for me. And when you go back into our criteria number 4, the trend, we state here clearly, hey, avoid downtrends when entering CL pairs. But this is also an exit indicator. So if you see the trend of your assets change from an uptrend or a clear sideways trend to a downtrend, that should be, telling you, hey, maybe it's time to exit. So that's number 4. That's criteria number 4. Criteria number 5 is the volume, and this is volume as a percentage of TVL or liquidity. We are looking for the 24-hour volume to be equal to or greater than the total value locked in the pool. This is a great indicator that will tell us at a glance, hey, the fees are likely to be elevated in this pool. So we're definitely looking for volume as a percentage of TVL, the 24-hour volume, to be equal than or greater to TVL. The 6th criteria here is the protocol. So we want to make sure that we are only operating on protocols or DEXs where there is a significant track record of success, where there is trust in the project and the team, and where there is a significant total value locked into the project or the DEX. And what that means is typically we're sticking to the top 10 or top 15 DEXs. So that means Uniswap, PancakeSwap, SushiSwap, Osmosis in the Cosmos ecosystem, Orca and Solana, Trader Joe in AVAX. So, we're sticking to the most trusted DEXs. That's the 6th criteria. And the 7th one is blockchain. We need to be aware of how much it's going to cost us in terms of gas to operate and maneuver on that chain. So if we are taking a look at an opportunity on the ETH mainnet, well, we need to understand
just how expensive it is going to be if we go out of range, or even to withdraw fees or to compound fees. Any operation, any type of maneuvering on the ETH mainnet is going to be extremely expensive. So we need to keep that in mind also. Let's recap. We have 7 criteria. The first one is assets. Do we want to hold them? Do they have a strong foundation? What is the use case for these assets? The second one is TVL. Do we see at least 250K in TVL in the pool? The third one is correlation. We want to see at least a positive 0.5 correlation coefficient on the 7-day or 30-day time frame to make sure that these two assets are going to move together. The fourth is trend. We're looking for a clear uptrend or a clear sideways trend. We avoid downtrends. And when we see a downtrend, if we're in a pool and we see a downtrend developing, that's a sign to exit. The fifth is volume. We want to see 24-hour volume be equal to or greater than TVL. The sixth is DEX or protocol. We want to see, we want to only enter when the DEX is trusted, has a significant total value locked, and that we have a strong track record for this DEX. And number 7 is the chain. We want to know how much it's going to cost to operate on that chain. So those are the 7 criteria. And this is within Quest 2 in the 6-figure DeFi Earner Challenge. Please, if you have questions, pop into that. That's very valuable. Thanks, Colin.
That was perfect.
So good.
Yeah.